Kashtira is an archetype based on banishing cards face down, while also blocking zones on the opponent's field to make him unable to play. Regarding its etymology, Kashtira is a name consisting of two words, Satra, from Sanskrit, meaning rule, authority, and Ira, Latin for anger. The first three main deck monsters released at the time are named after mythological creatures: Unicorn, Fenrir, and Ogre, whose initials form the word UFO. For this combo, you need Unicorn and Fenrir in the hand. If you don't have them both, you need Small World to search the missing piece. Activate Small World, reveal Zany Zebra, select Max C, and add Fenrir to your hand. The UFO trio share the same effect. If you control no monster, you can special summon them from the hand. Special summon Unicorn on the field. Activate Unicorn's effect to search for Kashtira Birth. This card lets you normal summon a level 7 monster without tributing. Play it. It's a key part of the combo. Normal summon Fenrir on the field using Birth's effect. Activate Fenrir's effect to search for Riceheart. Then, Exceed summon Shangri-Ira in defense using Unicorn and Fenrir as materials. And now the terror begins. If you control a Kashtira monster, you can special summon Riceheart on the field. Do it and activate his effect. Banish Ogre from your deck, and Riceheart will banish face down the top 3 cards of the opponent's deck, triggering the effect of Shangri-Ira. Kashtira is an incredibly strong meta deck even now in the TCG, and even with those few cards at our disposal in Master Duel, you can begin to see why it's one of the most feared decks in history. The whole concept of the deck is to block zones on the opponent's field. Shangri-Ira states that each time an opponent's card, or cards, is banished face down, except during the damage step, you can choose one unused main monster zone or spell and trap zone. It cannot be used while this monster is face up on the field. And guess what we have done just yet with Riceheart? One zone is blocked, forever. Note that if you block the far right or left of the spell and trap zone while facing a pendulum player, he won't be able to set his scales, making his deck almost useless. Now activate Birth's second effect, that lets you special summon one of your non-Exceed Kashtira monsters that is banished or in your graveyard. Special summon Ogre back on the field. Ogre searches for our trap card, Kashtira Preparations, but since we already had it in hand, he cannot activate his effect. Now we have 2 level 7 on the field, Ogre and Riceheart, who became level 7 after activating his effect. Ready for the disgusting part? Good. Exceed summon Diablosis using Ogre and Riceheart as materials. Diablosis states that once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, look at your opponent's extra deck, and banish one monster from it, face down. Remember who loves when cards are banished face down? Yeah, Shangri-Ira. Activate Diablosis effect to look at the opponent's extra deck and banish one of his monster face down. This will trigger Shangri-Ira, blocking another zone. We're at 2 now, but it's not over yet. If a card of your opponent is banished face down while you control Diablosis, his second effect will trigger. You can now banish cards from the top of your opponent's deck, face down, equal to their face down banished cards. This will trigger Shangri-Ira's effect once again, blocking another zone. We're at 3 now. On turn 1. Yes, it's not once per turn. You're starting to understand the hate for Kashtira now, don't you? Set preparations and end your turn. During the opponent's standby phase, activate your trap and Shangri-Ira's second effect that lets you special summon one Kashtira monster from your deck. Summon the other Fenrir. When Fenrir declares an attack, or if your opponent activates a monster effect. You can target one face-up card your opponent controls, banish it face down. Diablosis and Shangri-Ira will trigger again, like I explained before, locking the 4th zone and the final one. The opponent now simply cannot play the game. As if that wasn't enough. On your turn, Shangri-Ira will special summon another Kashtira from the deck, extending your plays even further. This combo is very inconsistent right now, but Kashtira will soon receive the support not released yet, and it will likely become the strongest deck in the game. When you don't open with Unicorn plus Fenrir, you need Unicorn and one extender to make almost the same combo. I chose to run Ascended of Thunder that special summons himself by paying 3,000 life points. A small Tenyi package, Vishuddha and Ashuna, both level 7 and easy special summons if you control no effect monsters. Instant Contact to get easy level 7 fusion monsters on the field at the cost of 1,000 life points. And Psy Beast. When this card is normal summoned, you can remove from play one psychic monster from your deck, making this card of the same level. You can then summon back the banished monster with Birth, and you'll have 2 level 7 on the field for Exceed plays. Furthermore, I chose to run some gimmick cards like Ground Collapse to block even more monster zones, and Zany Zebra that shares almost the same effect. If you don't like these cards, cut them and add Pot of Extravagance, but you'll need to run 3 copies of Shangri-Ira and Diablosis, and staples like Impermanence, Max C, and so on. In this version of the deck, I run only 1 copy of Max C that I use as a bridge for Small World. Small World is a complicated card to understand, so let's make it simple. Reveal 1 monster in your hand, chose another monster from the deck, called Bridge, then a 3rd card from the deck, and add it to your hand, banishing the first 2 cards chosen. The following is a list of cards to reveal in hand, with the relative bridges from the deck in order to use Small World to search for Fenrir and Unicorn. But first, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and consider becoming a member of this wonderful community for more videos like this. It would help my work a lot. For now, the deck has a major consistency problem. Running cards like Small World and the Pots really helps. I also tested a card called Sacred Sword of 7 stars that lets you draw 2 cards banishing 1 level 7 monster from the hand or field. I ended up cutting it for Ground Collapse. Other good options to consider are Dimensional Fissure, since the deck loves to banish, Evenly Matched and Baron de Fleur. If you decide to run Ash Blossom, level 3 tuner. If you feel evil, you can also include cards like Kaijus and Lava Golem to get rid of problematic monsters when you go second. Regarding the extra deck, apart from Shangri-Ira and Diablosis, Big Eye is a very good card to have, since it steals opponents' monsters. Lastly, Zeus is a staple for Exceed decks. Special mention to Dimension Shifter. That alone won me many games upon activation. The card is extremely strong versus meta decks. One last quick note. Diablosis will likely be banned at some point in the future if Kashtira becomes a problem for the game. Be careful when crafting it. Decklist next.